Hi, this is my review of Pathfinder Advanced Player's Guide. This book gives you hundreds and hundreds of options to further customize your player characters in your Pathfinder game. The book is kinda sturdy, but it's not as good as some other books. For example, the Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons 3.0, 3.5 books are pretty sturdy. I have used them a lot and they are still in pretty good condition. But the Pathfinder books have a very loose, very weak binding. They start falling apart after a few sessions. I don't know what it is. And also, the illustrations in this book are pretty awesome. You can see some awesome works by Wayne Reynolds and other artists. For example, here we have a small illustration, and I'm going to show you some illustrations as I review the book. There's a nitpick that I have with the design of the Pathfinder books. It's very quirky and personal, but for example, you get at the beginning of each chapter, you get a battle scene, and you get a short text detailing what's going on in there. But a lot of those texts are kind of cheesy a bit. For example, in this one, the Cavalier says, "I refuse to die in a cesspit. If one of us could get around behind them, we might have a fighting chance. But I don't." And then the Oracle interrupts him. "That can be arranged," the Oracle said. Then, spreading her arms, she rose into the air. And that's a bit cliche. Like you can see it coming. It feels a bit cheesy sometimes. And you have those scenes in different volumes of a Pathfinder game. But that's a nitpick. It's usually very thematic and good concerning the illustrations and the flavor text. Okay, the book starts with an introduction about what this book is about, how you can use it, and the races. As you well know, the races in Pathfinder have different traits and abilities, but this book gives you a sort of process to replace certain abilities if you want to customize that particular race according to your character concept. For example, if you have a dwarf, maybe you're going to be like, "Oh no, I don't like the stability racial trait." Well, choose the relentless. Dwarves are skilled at pushing their way through a battlefield, tossing aside lesser foes with ease. Dwarves with this racial trait receive a +2 bonus on combat maneuver checks made to bull rush or overrun an opponent. Or maybe you say, "I don't like the greed racial trait for my dwarf." Well, no problem, you can choose craftsman, so that your dwarf receives a +2 racial bonus on all craft and profession checks. And this way you can further customize or flesh out or illustrate your character concept. And this goes for the same for all different races. And for example, and there's another special thing that you can do to customize your races, which is favor class options. And favor class options it talks about how each race has a favorite favorite classes or classes that are more suited to that race's culture traits and ideologies. For example, the elves are pretty good at being bards, so add +1 to the elves combat maneuver defense when resisting a disarmer's under attempt. Or maybe you choose the sorcerer. Select one bloodline power at first level that is normally usable a number of times per day equal to 3 plus the sorcerer's charisma modifier. The sorcerer adds half to the number of uses per day of that bloodline power. So you get a lot more options to boost your normal special powers and abilities when using a particular class, and this applies to all the different races. Gnomes have different favorite classes and different racial traits, as well as humans, orcs, and they're mostly very logical. As you would expect, the half orcs are very skilled being barbarians and having traits such as Beastmaster, Chain Fighter, Gate Crasher, anything that requires a bit of brute force and savagery. And then you get the new classes. You have the Alchemist, who is he works pretty well as a mid-range combatant, in my opinion, because of he has bombs, and he can customize the bombs in many different ways to deal different types of damage. Maybe an acid bomb or a concussive bomb. and you can create potions that replicate the effects of spells. You get mutagens, so that the alchemist becomes sort of like a mad scientist and modifies parts of his body so he can become stronger, but at the same time losing a bit of intelligence in the process. Those are mostly temporary effects. And then you get the Cavalier, who is a frontline combatant. Very awesome, very powerful when fighting mounted. Maybe he's using a horse or a more exotic mount, such as, I don't know, a big lion or a raptor. However, I feel the Cavalier is very limited according to the campaign you are playing, because if he doesn't have a mount, he's not as effective. So he's mostly geared to campaigns where, I don't know, battlefield or war type campaigns, or maybe fighting across the open ground, and not for spelunking or traveling through deep, narrow dungeons. You also get the Inquisitor, and the Inquisitor is a divine caster, but with some tricks up her sleeve. For example, the Inquisitor has judgments, which are sort of like a feature that allows you to give penalties or bonuses to your allies, or penalties to your enemies, so you can fight more effectively. And the Inquisitor also gets different teamwork based feats. The teamwork feats, I will talk about them a bit later, and they basically allow him to, or the Inquisitor, to work better with her comrades in the battlefield. You also get the Oracle. The Oracle is a divine caster. It feels pretty much like the Cleric at first, but the Oracle has Oracle's curses, which gives her some penalties, but at the same time some unique powers. For example, maybe the Oracle is haunted. Malevolent spirits are constantly moving around her stuff. If she drops something, it probably will fall down a pit, or she gets like annoyed by having her stuff moved around. But at the same time, she gets abilities such as Mage Hand, Ghost Sound, Levitation, things related to ghostly powers or immaterial things. She also gets mysteries that are kind of like cleric domains. And then we have the Summoner, and the Summoner is a caster who has this creature called an Eidolon. It's kind of like a pet. The Eidolon is created almost in a nightmarish or very surreal sort of way. You can have an Eidolon that has the head of a rooster and maybe some octopus tentacles and I don't know, the body of a horse. So you can customize this Eidolon in many different ways to suit different needs. Maybe you need an extra frontline fighter, so you create a very tough Eidolon with scales and claws and big, large teeth. Or maybe you need something that is more stealthy or lays behind, so stays behind to attack from a distance. So you can create an Eidolon that is more agile and with maybe some ranged abilities. And the Eidolons even share hit points and spell effects with their summoners. Then when you have the Witch, and I've heard that the Witch is very superior as compared to the Wizard class. I'm not exactly sure, I haven't made a comparison. If some of you have compared the Witch with a Wizard, I would like to know the results. But the Witch is a spellcaster who has special abilities called hexes that allows her to aid her companions or hinder the enemies. Kind of like the Inquisitor, but I feel that the Witch is a bit more extreme and with a less flexibility than the Inquisitor in general. But I haven't really tried a lot of the Witch, but the little that I have seen about it, it seems like that way. And she also has a familiar that pretty much substitutes her spell book. So the familiar stores all her spells, and the familiar is kind of like a contact between the Witch and her patron, that is the source of her powers. And you get different ways to tweak the core classes. The ones I like the most are archetypes. This is where the archetypes are introduced. Now, archetypes are like specializations for your classes, to further specialize them. For example, you have a barbarian where you think, oh, I would love my barbarian to be a bit more, I don't know, better in hand-to-hand combat. No, I don't want a monk, I want a barbarian that punches really hard. So you could choose the brutal pugilist archetype, and you have your barbarian that specializes in hand-to-hand combat. Or maybe you say, oh, I would like my barbarian to be a lot more effective when riding a horse. So you can choose the mounted fury archetype, so your barbarian fights better. And these archetypes take away some of the special abilities and powers of the core classes and replaces them with things that will allow that class to be that specific archetype. For example, in the Mounted Fury example, you can replace the fast movement ability of the barbarian, so that you get fast rider, so you are faster when riding a horse. Or maybe we have the superstitious barbarian, and the superstitious barbarian can replace his trap sense ability with sixth sense. The superstitious barbarian gains +1 bonus on initiative and +1 insight bonus to armor class during surprise rounds. So this barbarian is like very paranoid of finding a sorcerer or something related with magic. And you get all sorts of different archetypes. The fighter has a lot of interesting archetypes. It pretty much allows the fighter to act as a very offensive or defensive or flexible character. And the clerics get different domains. And besides that, you get alternate versions of the classes, such as, for example, the anti-paladin, which is what you would expect of an evil paladin, so to speak. Everything related to healing that the paladin had, this anti-paladin uses it to harm or to cause damage in different ways. And of course, you get more feats to customize your characters. With these feats, you get general feats, combat feats, all of them very useful. But you get a new type of feat, which is the teamwork feats. Now, the teamwork feats are a bit hard to use, not exactly when applied when fighting, but in general. Let me try to explain. Let's say you get a teamwork feat. You need somebody else in the party to get that teamwork feat as well. If not, you won't be able to use it. So you need another character to have the same feat as you. And as you well know, feat slots are very precious. When you level up, you're always like, oh, I want the best feat for my character build. But if you compromise with another character so that both of you get the teamwork feat, what if something happens to that other character in battle or on the long term? Maybe she gets paralyzed, or she gets pushed away or bull rushed away from you, and some of the teamwork feats won't work anymore because you need to be a certain distance and under certain circumstances. Or maybe that character that you share the feat with gets killed, so that now you have wasted an entire slot on that teamwork feat. But if things go as planned, the teamwork feats work amazingly well, giving you extra attacks of opportunity, providing armor class bonuses and similar things. And you get an equipment section detailing new weapons with, the weapons for Pathfinder. You get all sorts of damage types and special qualities, special types of things. Here are some illustrations of the weapons you get. You get also some very specific weapons. For example, you get an armor. You get the quick draw steel shield, the one in the center right there. This one allows a character to quickly draw it out of his or her backpack to get that armor class in case of need. And this is mostly a shield for characters who are always handling various things in their hands. Maybe you're holding a magic item or a torch in one hand and a sword or an axe in the other, and suddenly you get surprised and you go like, oh no, I need extra armor class. So you quickly draw this quick draw shield to protect yourself. You also get some equipment for traveling and more mundane business. And then you have a huge list of spells. You get a lot of spells, considering you got these new classes such as the Alchemist and the Cavalier. You get a lot of spells. They look pretty good. Most of them are balanced, in my opinion. Of course, I haven't used them in different situations, but they look in balance with the rest of the spells. And you get new prestige classes, of course. You get the Battle Herald that transforms the Cavalier, in my opinion. Of course, you can use different classes for each prestige class, but I think this one suits the Cavalier perfectly, a pure Cavalier, because it allows the Cavalier to become like a sort of master tactician, almost like a general on the battlefield, giving different bonuses and inspiring his party members. You get the Holy Vindicator. Maybe that I feel that this is a good class for the cleric if he wants a bit more to be a bit more battlefield oriented while keeping his spell abilities. And then you get the Horizon Walker, that is a range. Well, it's pretty suited for a ranger, so he can explore and scout different terrains, even other planes with ease. You get the Master Chemist, and the Master Chemist gives you allows your alchemist to become Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. With the use of mutagens, you can do so many crazy things with this prestige class. And then you get the Master Spy, and this, well, it allows you to spy and steal information and maybe commit assassinations, but I feel that it's very, as a Cavalier, very specific for the type of campaign you are playing. You also get the Nature Warden, which is very well suited maybe for a druid or a ranger. It creates handles a special link with her animal companion, so that not only you get the battlefield or attack based benefits, you also get some useful things when exploring. You get the Rage Prophet, which allows the Oracle to be a bit more close combat centered. And I remind you, in Pathfinder you can create all sorts of combinations. You don't really need to use a specific class to get another prestige class. You can use a combination of them, or maybe a different class altogether. And then you get the Stalwart Defender. It's pretty much like the Dwarven Defender from earlier editions. A dwarf with a lot of defensive capabilities, not much mobility, but very tough when you need to hold the line. And you get a lot of magic items. A lot of these new magic items are pretty amazing. Just take a look at some of the illustrations. I particularly like the shields. For example, the Fortress Shield allows you to create a sort of a protective iron cube around your character in moments of need. Or the Battlement Shield allows you to create a battlement, a small wall with some arrow slits, so you can hold out a sort of assault or a mini siege. You get new weapons. Here are some of the samples of the new weapons with awesome illustrations as always. And you get some interesting items, the wondrous items. Here are some illustrations of them. And you also get some artifacts. I think these major artifacts can even serve as an excuse for an entire campaign based around them. You even get a D20, the Knuckle Bone of Fickle Fortune. That's pretty much a D20 over there. And you get the Cloud Castle of the Storm King. Now I don't want to give too many spoilers, because maybe your GM will probably use it in an adventure, but these major artifacts can be pretty much an entire campaign setting, or sorry, a place where you can build or create different adventures, and you could basically base the entire campaign around them or in them. And you get new rules. The new rules are pretty good. I'm very satisfied with these additions, because, for example, you get the Dirty Trick. If you want to pull down your enemy's pants so that the enemy trips and falls over, or maybe you want to spit in his eye, the Dirty Trick rule allows you to do all of that. And you can also drag your opponent. You can even steal things from your opponent. And one of the coolest features that I think they added with this book is the hero points. The hero points optional rule allows you to award hero points to your players, and these are basically used to cheat death and obtain rerolls and different bonuses. They're like bennies or fate points or destiny points in other role-playing games, where you use these currencies for your player character to reroll her dice, or maybe avoid something that would be certain death. But this is a great tool for the GM, because, well, I as a game master I am always using a lot of deadly foes and traps with no mercy for my players, and this allows the players to get a fighting chance. I don't need to hold back, and as a lot of you know, player characters can be quite fragile when a devious GM is at his best. So these hero points give them a good chance of escaping that situation alive. And you even get magic items and feats related to hero points. And then you get traits, and traits not only add background information for your characters, but it also gives you special rules. For example, if you have the magic lineage, one of your parents was a gifted spellcaster. So when you apply metamagic feats to this spell, to a particular spell, treat its actual level as one lower for determining the spell's final adjusted level. And you get all sorts of social traits, faith traits, magic traits, even combat related traits that give you a lot of different bonuses and background information of why you are more able to fight an enemy in a certain situation, or you are better at understanding certain topics related to religion, or maybe an obscure monster, and it all relates to your character's background. That's a very cool way of fleshing out your character background and giving some rules mechanics a tweak in the process. And well, let me give you my general thoughts of the book. I think this is an excellent book. It's not necessary for Pathfinder, but I personally consider it a must. It's not for everyone. Some people don't like too many choices, but I think the greatest strength of the Pathfinder role-playing game is that it gives you so many options, so many powers, so many abilities, so many feats, so many traits, so many things that you can use to create a very unique character. You can play Pathfinder all your life, and you probably won't be able to cover each situation and create the same character. And with this advanced player's guide, you get classes, feats, new items, new spells. You get so much of everything. It really expands the game. It doesn't try to complete a piece of the puzzle that always felt missing. This expands and strengthens all the things that make Pathfinder such an awesome game. As a weak point or a weakness, I would consider that maybe they should have been given the new classes such as the Alchemist and the Oracle some archetypes or some things to further customize them. And maybe they should have included you see, in some archetypes they give you certain abilities. For example, the shapeshifter for the ranger, I think you can use this or that attack, and you say like, oh, where is that attack? And that attack is included in the bestiary. Oh, I don't have the bestiary. I'm only using the 3.0, 3.5 monster manuals, and that's a bit annoying. But of course, you always have the system reference document that is free online, and you can download any information that you need from that. So those are basically nitpicks as well. This book is pretty amazing overall. I highly recommend it. If you're a Pathfinder player and you're not a casual player, just a bit more hardcore, and you love tweaking and min-maxing and maybe customizing your character in the best way possible, this book is a must. Thank you for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please type them down and I will read them. See you later.